Welcome back to the channel where we all can learn and grow together. Today we're going to start part 3 of the workbench build. Stay tuned. Okay, two things I want to mention right off the bat is one, I want to show you how I'm nailing the legs on to the workbench, the top and the shelf. I like to nail in this configuration here because when I drive nails into here in this way, it helps hold these two pieces together. Plus there's glue in this joint, but you don't want to rely solely on the glue because this joint right here is a weak joint anyways. So that's why we want to use either some type of a nail, or better yet, if it's possible and you have the means to use a type of a screw to go in this way, it is better to use screws. But for now we're doing this as a limited tool and limited budget and limited kind of just your basic beginner level workbench. If I were to put this leg on this other side where it's here, it'll still get nailed in here and in a hold, but it don't add any strength to this joint right here. And that's one thing we want to accomplish by putting this leg on this side. It not only has your nails going in this way, but you're then shooting nails this way and in here, so you will add strength to this joint right here. The second thing I like to note is adding a mark like you see right in here on all four legs, even from the end of the board to here, whatever length you want to make your middle shelf. Making a mark, even mark on all four legs will help you in the process of lining your what's going to be your shelf evenly. So it's important to make that mark. You can always erase or sand it off later for aesthetic reasons. One thing I went ahead and did before I clamped this, I went ahead and added the wood glue and then clamped this into position to hold it. And also I got my concrete blocks, which is going to help me with giving it a solid spot underneath when you're working on soft ground. It helps with driving these nails in that have something hard on the bottom. So we're going to go ahead and get this nailed up and flip it over and line up the bottom two legs, and we'll have the legs on our workbench and it'll start taking shape. Now let's get this flipped over and we can start the other side. The reason why I put this one there is because sometimes this piece might not want to line up perfectly with this line. So sometimes using a clamp to draw this in and help this meet up with this line so this here all stays square. So sometimes having a big clamp like this help. Any kind of clamp you could buy to help you out, buy it.
Again, don't be skimpy with the wood glue.
And I'm going to take you over here. I want to show you something that does happen when you're using nails. If I could zoom you in where you can see this. Trying to get the best lighting. I think you can already see right in here the nails that has protruded. Sometimes using nails, especially these 16D, that's something that will happen. Now, there's several things you could do. One, if you have an angle grinder or a hacksaw or something where you could just cut it off clean there so there's nothing where if somebody reached their hand under there, they're not going to get cut on it. Or sometimes for extra strength, which I kind of don't recommend, but it's kind of an aesthetic or personal preference, is you could pound this nail and flatten it in, and it would actually keep this nail from pulling out this way, so that nail would never come out of there, so it would give it a kind of a strong fit. But the problem is sometimes you don't, when you hammer it down like that and push it in the wood, sometimes it's still protruding, and there's always that chance you're grabbing the bench. It's be pretty hard, but there's that chance it could snag. So you can also use, in this case, a smaller nail. These are 16D I used. You could also use like maybe a 12D or a 10D, and they won't end up sticking out at all. It's kind of a personal preference, but using these 16D, they will protrude out, and the way you want to handle it, you may, since nobody's going to see it once you put the top off, if you don't even want to mess with it at all, that's up to you. But forewarned, if you reach your hand under there and get stuck, it's at your own risk. So you can either cut them off and then maybe even use a file or sandpaper, make sure that it's smooth there, or you could flatten them in. So I'll leave that up to you and at your own risk. So I'll bring you back here, zoom out a little bit, and show you what we got to do now. Is I made some pieces here. I'll come back into the camera. I made some cross pieces here. The only thing I didn't do with these is mark the center line. So if you want to measure and make a center line and center this, you can do that. But basically I just put this in so I can show you there is going to be cross pieces here for extra support to also push the center in and hold all this together to add extra strength. Now I'm going to do all that off the camera, but what you'll need to do is also try and add glue the best you can. You can also add these in when you make this whole square piece. The reason why I didn't do that this time was because I actually wasn't going to add these in at first because of what I'm wanting to use this for, but then I want to show this step anyways, because if you're not going to use it the way I'm going to use it, you're going to need this for extra strength. But I could also use it for what I was going to use it for with this in here. So that's why this is getting added at this step and not when I actually made the actual square pieces. So you can put all this together while making the square pieces here. or whatever size you want to make this. So I'll leave that up to you. Sometimes it does help to have it standard, but you'll still want to use some wood glue, and you'll want to go ahead and use these bigger clamps to kind of clamp on the side here and let the wood glue do its thing, and then nail it in there, or use your screws in here and do the same at the bottom. So all that I'm going to do off camera, and we're going to have a part 4 where we're going to start putting a top on this, and we're going to start putting a bottom shelf on this, and getting this to the point where we can start using this workbench to make it some future projects. So I thank you for joining. If this is your first time, I welcome you. I hope you found value in this, and I'm going to try and leave some links in the description, and that you could go to what led us up to this point. And I hope you find value in this. I want to encourage you to find your start and reach your goals. You have a good one.